Hello there, welcome back to Legends with Derka on the Series X, where today we are looking at what was one of the rarest ships in the game, but is now coming to all of us for global XP. 750,000 to be exact. The key is a Tier 7 premium Japanese battleship, and for all intents and purposes, it is an Amagi with torpedoes. Yes, she is free for global now, but there are a lot of ships available for green XP that are also vying for your attention, I'm sure, and mine. So should Key be your next global XP purchase? Let's find out. So the Key never actually sailed the Pacific from what I could see, but she sailed into World of Warships Legends around a year or so ago. The only way to obtain her originally when she first came to console was through a very low drop rate percentage in crates, but now she is back for those of us who choose not to gamble, at least on video games. If you have played the Japanese battleships, then you probably know what you were in for, or what to expect, I should say, especially if you made it to Amagi. Before we go any further though, we are using the Azerlane Fusou commander, or really Takagi. Unless you are spamming HE a lot, Takagi would actually be the better choice. It just happens to be where I put promotion orders because we all know how stingy they are. Cunningham, I feel, is definitely a must for one of your inspirations, as the Key has a very low Sigma value of 1.7. At least it was on the PC. And from playing her, I would say that that carried over to the console. Sigma is how close your shells are going to land to the center of where you're aiming. Cunningham helps buff this a little bit. Other inspirations you could check out would be Revel to bring the reload down a little bit lower. I think on the games that I had Revel, maybe I got it down to about 26 seconds, which is saucy for 410mm guns. You could also possibly use Azerlane Scharnhorst, or definitely Mikhail Kedrov, because the turret traverse on the Key is abysmal. It's very, very bad. I did not use Flammable Cannoneer on my setup, as I don't on most battleships, but really this thing catches on fire quite frequently. Most of the matches I played, I would say that I lost the majority of my health from fires every game. I also chose Crisscross over drill bits because I like having the top speed of the battleship, but hey, you do you. Looking at the stats of the Key on paper, she looks pretty good, and we'll kind of run through it here so that you guys can see the differences. HP pool wise, very good. In fact, it's nearly the best at the tier. It only gets edged out a little bit by the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, but literally just by hundreds of health points. Along with the survivability, the heals are there for 9,700 health apiece, and the armor scheme is quite similar to the Amagi, except something to note, it has half of the torpedo protection of the Amagi at 25%, and that is pretty bad for a tier 7 battleship. Unless you are sailing a German battleship, Bismarck, Tirpitz, Odin, they have 22%. So the Key and the Amagi also, they both have turtleback armor schemes that may or may not protect your citadel at close range fights. The guns are where the Key shines. You have 10 410mm guns. Only the Georgia has larger caliber guns at this tier as of now, and 10 is also the largest amount of guns found at the tier as of now. 27.3 second reload without Revel is quick for 16-inch guns, and the shells hit like a truck. HE shells at this tier, they are the best. 6,500 damage. It doesn't get any better than that for now. The AP shells, no slouches either. 13,100, only getting beat out by the Georgia. So she's nearly best in class in the shell damage category. The reload's good, and all of that together means that her DPM is also pretty good. HE DPM is the best at the tier, tied with the Amagi, of course, and the AP shell DPM is only beaten out by the Roma, which I was surprised by actually, and then the Odin, of course, because it has a very fast fire rate. The fire chance isn't that great. You get a lot of HE alpha, but they're not going to be setting a lot of fires, plus the 27-second reload. You're not going to be a good fire spamming battleship or a fire starter, which most people that play battleships aren't anyways. Surprisingly, where the key really shines, and it was miles better than Amagi, was the AA rating. 92. That's better than the Massachusetts, better than the Alabama, and it came in second place overall at the tier, again behind the Georgia. So that is a great gimmick. Most Japanese battleships, except for the Yamato, which is just good at everything, don't really have the best AA rating, so 92 is very, very good. Key is in the middle of the pack when it comes to your top speed, 30 knots. It's relatively quick. That's, that's not bad. And the rudder shift is 13 seconds. This is also pretty fast. The turning circle is terrible, 880 meters. It's about the worst tier 7 battleship in the game in that regard. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be whipping it around in any parking lots or anything. Concealment is great, best in class at 13.5. Now, what's interesting about the key and what really sets it apart from just, being in another Amagi is that it has torpedoes. And they aren't terrible torpedoes. And they have much better firing angles than the Mutsu, which if you've ever shot torpedoes from the Mutsu, it's like the Battle of Jutland, and you basically need to be perpendicular to the enemy ship as they shoot shells into your broadside. But the key's torpedoes, they reach 6 kilometers, just like her German counterparts. 63 knots in the water isn't very fast, but they have a good damage number of 14,600. The bad thing about them is they are visible from space. 1.6 kilometer detection, coupled with the slow speed, means your enemies have a ton of time to react to the torpedoes. And I mean, it's not a good thing, really. You can't get very sneaky torpedo hits. People are going to react to them, but maybe you can use them to your advantage and force an enemy to turn away and use the big, powerful guns that you have. Most of the time, you're probably not going to want to find yourself in a brawling situation in the key. I would say the games that you use the torpedoes and you actually survive the encounter would be rare, the exception for sure. Key's just not that great at brawling. The turret traverse is very slow, and the armor scheme is not as robust as Tirpitz and Bismarck and Odin, just other good brawling battleships. A lot of times, the torpedoes are probably going to get their captains into more trouble than they are actually worth. If they do anything, at least they could act as a deterrent. As the ship is out longer, most people are going to figure out that the key has torpedoes, and because of that, just like Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, Tirpitz, and Odin, they're going to give you a wide berth. And you could kind of use this to your advantage, especially smaller ships that may be inclined to rush you. And I gotta say, on paper, the key looks pretty darn good. There's a lot of these stats. Concealment, that's huge. The guns, the reload, the power, the DPM, it all looks good. And I think in the right hands, this could be a very capable ship. But there are some issues. I think the biggest problem that I had with the key is the gun accuracy, the low sigma value. You very simply are gonna get trolled by the guns. And I guess if you're a Japanese battleship player, you might be kind of used to this. The poor gun sigma is something that I feel like I observed a lot when playing up the Japanese battleship line. The Kongo, Fusou, Nagato, Amagi, both of the ARP Kongos, the Kirishima and the Haruna, it just had some very trolly dispersion, and it's something that you have to get used to. It seems like when I needed to land some solid hits the most, I didn't. And I guess that could be true of all battleship play, yes, but I definitely think that it was something that I noticed when I was playing the key. So this all begs the question, should you spend your global XP on the key? Well, for starters, it might depend on how much you play the game and the next time you would earn 750,000 of the green stuff. I know personally, I've added it up and I talked about it in the Stalingrad video. I think that I have only ever purchased 4 750,000 global ships and 1 500,000 global XP one in the entire 2 years of playing this game. So it's global is hard to come by. If you're looking for a tier 7 premium battleship to pay, use your global for, I would personally say to look no further than the Massachusetts. That ship is still in the shop as of this recording, December 6th, and my position on that battleship should be well known by now. I think it is the best, if not top 3, best tier 7 premium battleships currently in the game. Odin is also still in the shop. If you're looking for a brawling battleship with torpedoes, Odin is going to be miles ahead of the key. It's very competitive, it's a very, very good ship, and it's a lot of fun to play. Monarch and Gascon, well, tell me the last time you saw either one of those in a random battle, and that will tell you all that you need to know there. The Benham's still in the shop, the Krasny Krim, Palo Emilio, and the Stalingrad. All unique ships. Stalingrad's just very, very expensive at 2 million green XP. Now, with all of this, you should also consider what's coming next. What's not in the shop right now that could be in the shop, say, you know, in a month or 2. And this is not foreshadowing. As of this date that I just said earlier, the CCs have no idea how the Minotaur will be implemented into the game, or even the Brandenburg, which both of those have been kind of leaked to us. Minnow could end up being 2 million green XP. We don't know, just like the Stalingrad. Brandenburg, I'm going to place my bet that she's going to be a campaign ship, but again, we'll find out. Overall, guys, that's really all I have to say about the key, and it's going to wrap this game up here, which was, you know, half of a sailing simulator, but regardless, we came back here to defend home base, and we got the win. Let me know what you guys think about the key and about her coming back for global. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on her. With that, guys, be sure to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.